about to leave. Already packing, come with me. I'm not.
Hello friends and enemies. Welcome back to Happy For Now. It's me, Isabel, here with a fun rec video today. So one of my goals is to do more rec videos in 2021. And this is one that I've been kind of stewing on for a while. I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been like thinking about it. How do I want to do it? What do I want to talk about? I love a lot of these books. How do we talk about it? Do I do like recs in a TBR? Do I do recs in a vlog? I don't know. You got stuff coming for you on this theme, but it's dark romance. I really like dark and taboo romance. I think it's hard sometimes though to know what's a dark romance and what's a taboo romance, because I do feel like there's a lot of intersection in this genre across the two lines. I also think there's a lot of stuff that I personally won't read, but you may love, and vice versa. I think there's a lot of lines for everybody that are like your own personal when it comes to dark romance. So I just want to talk about some that I really, really like. I will give you kind of what they're about and like any notes on, you know, what kind of subgenre of dark romance they're from. If you have a specific dark romance subgenre, whatever trope situation you want me to find some recs for, let me know. I'm happy to. Also, if you have recs for me, feel free to drop them down below. So I've been importing all of my Kindle library into my reading spreadsheet to track what I've read and haven't read. And it's really funny because I've had a Kindle for a really long time. And I've been reading people like Pepper Winters and CJ Roberts since like 2010. Y'all, 2012, like it's been a while. So some of these are older recs that I read, and I don't have like full content warnings because back then I didn't know about content warnings, to be honest with you. So we're just gonna roll with it, but this is like varying degrees. I'll let you know anything that I feel like is maybe a good entry point. I think any of these honestly could be maybe, okay, besides like one, could be a good entry point into reading some dark romance and trying to figure out what your dark romance / taboo tastes are. I personally will pretty much read everything once. Familial love, incest is kind of a hard no. And necrophilia, as we learned in my vlog last year with Skeleton King. So those are like my two hard no's currently, and underage. I don't like underage with older characters. But I do have an exception to that rule, so. All right, let's get into this. First things first, we have to rec a favorite from last year. It was in my wildest books list. If you still haven't picked this book up because I don't talk about it enough, you need to buy this book, okay? This is Dark Mafia Prince by Annika Martin. This blew my mind. This is one of the best mafia romances I've ever read. I need to finish this series in 2021. Dark Mafia Prince follows Alesko, who grew up orphaned and hunted because of their father. And he basically shows back up in like a suit, looking hot as hell, murders her like crime family. He captures her, and this is the Take the Finger book, in which you are literally cheering for this dude to take her finger off, like cut the finger off, and you still feel like he could be redeemed, which is a mind-blowing talent. Let's be real. That takes skill as an author to be able to make me say, absolutely, take her finger off and go with it. Like, this is what I want. Our heroine, Mira, is kind of being used as a pawn to control her dad, and then they're also looking for their third brother who's missing. It honestly is just such a good journey. It's such a strong story. This, like, I love when a writer, an author will make me root for that bad character, because that's what I want. Like, but it's very specific bad characters that I want to root for, and this was one of those ones in which I was like, yes please. I want Alesko to like take Mira's finger. I want him to have the world. I want him to get his brothers back together. I want them to have a good life. I want them to like find that happily ever after with some caveats on their life actions, I guess. But it's just a very intense read that I honestly could not put down in any capacity. And if you are feeling slumpy, this just may be the book for you. There's a Fated Mates episode to listen to after you read it. It honestly blew my mind. Content warnings for like gore and mafia stuff, murder, etc. Your default, what is to be expected in a mafia book. Then I'm gonna recommend a book that is an oldie, but a classic dark romance, I think. and that is Captive in the Dark, which is the Dark Duet series, or Dark Duet series, part of the Dark Duet. This is by CJ Roberts. I read this, when did I buy this? So I read this forever ago. This was like one of my early Kindle books. And when I tell you I went through a very dark BDSM phase where I read a lot of questionable dark romances with BDSM elements, because I do not believe BDSM inherently makes a book dark. This was one of them, in which Caleb kidnaps Olivia and traps her in the dark. She's like blindfolded and bound down there, makes her call him master. It is very much a book full of non-consent and dubious consent, maybe more so, 50-50 split. You know, some disturbing situations. This is definitely a captive romance. It is honestly a wild ride. I remember finishing this book like so fast because I could not put it down. You know, this really dives into sex trafficking. There's, I believe, pedophilia. There's definitely like some rape. I don't think book 1 has a full HEA at the end. You do probably need to read book 2. This is like one of those books I feel like if you really want to dive into the deep end, you could give a go. But again, I don't think it's for everyone, and I do think it's a book that you need to like proceed with caution. It's definitely like, I feel like one of the original dark romances that I read. All right, shall we talk a little lighter? Next, I want to recommend Haven by Rebecca Weatherspoon. I will never shut up about the Beards and Bondage series. Sorry, not sorry. But for real, this series for me is everything. For the first book has like kind of a romantic suspense element. She's running in the woods from someone who murdered her brother while they're like on a hike, and Shepard finds her and helps save her, and then they like enter into a BDSM relationship, and it's mostly dark because like she's running from a serial killer and like she's terrified. It's not like super dark, okay? It's no Captive in the Dark, okay? Like it's not that. It's like, this is like a light intro to dark romance maybe. You could get a feel for it if you like it, and this definitely has like some dark elements. I really, really liked it though. It was so freaking good. And if you haven't read the Beards and Bondage series and you like BDSM and like romantic suspense and some of that stuff, like you gotta get on it and read these. Next, we're gonna talk about another one that I read that's a classic, I feel like. Maybe not, but it was for me. It was a formative book. I feel like it was the first dark romance I read that didn't have a full HEA. It had like a weird HEA, let me put it that way. It's definitely a twisted love story. This is Raw by Belle Aurora. I hated, now I want to caveat this, I hated the sequel to this that came out last year or the year before, I don't remember. Anyways, I read Raw back in the day when it came out and I loved it. But it's kind of categorized more as like erotic suspense and romantic erotica. It's dirty. It is about a social worker and a criminal. And it is the worst cliffhanger you'll ever read because you don't know if it happened or not at the end. What happened? Twitch is our main lead character and Lexi is our heroine. She does like social work and shouldn't be seen with him, and there just is a lot of back and forth and delightfulness. It's a very flawed hero situation. I think it's set in Australia or something. I honestly kind of want to reread it and see if it holds up for me, but I loved this book. I remember checking constantly if the sequel had come out yet, and it, no joke, took so long to happen. But I think this is a fun, twisted, happy for now-esque situation to read. Again, definitely fucked up, but you do get a happily ever after in the sequel, which is Raw Rebirth. This is definitely a great dark erotic romance though. All right, and then we have Born Darkly by Trisha Wolfe, which I have to mention, if you want a serial killer romance, so far this is the only one I've liked. I DNF'd one that I tried and I want to try some more, but this is a jacked up romance. Y'all, it's so good though. It does not end in a happily ever after in that first book. I need to read the second book in the duet. I was supposed to buddy read it with Tamika from Libraries Homes, but we never got around to it. And I think I'm just gonna read it this year anyways and get to it because I really want to know what happened. This is definitely your Harley Quinn Joker fan fiction sort of situation. She is a psychologist. She talks to like extremely unstable people when they're going on trial and things and when they're in prison. And he is just a psychopath, literally. And yet somehow you're kind of rooting for them and you're also screaming while you're reading it. It follows such a delightful journey, and it turns out that our heroine has a history you don't expect to come out that comes out, and it's really interesting how it all works out. The ending was wild. I could not put this book down at all. So highly, highly recommend. I think this is another great entry point if you're looking for something that's like wild and out there, but not, I don't think it's overly over the top, if that makes sense. And then last, I have to talk about my beloved Game Maker's Trilogy by Kresley Cole. I personally am a big fan of book 3. That's my 5-star of this series. The others are like solid 4-star reads probably, but each one follows a different one of the 3 brothers. And I would say of these, one of them will speak to you and what you like in romance. Let me grab them. So the professional is going to be your Mafia enforcer type. He is helping protect the heir to the next Mafia, like to the Mafia group, the Bratva. But this redhead haunts him that he met like by chance. Turns out she is the daughter, the person who's gonna inherit it, but like has been missing, and it's a whole thing. He has to like help protect Natalie. So it's kind of bodyguard-esque. It's dark and twisted. Do not get me wrong. It is 100% a Mafia romance, but super, super good if you like that kind of thing. So the master is about one of the other brothers. What is his name? Maximilian. He likes tall, blonde, obedient blondes. He prefers tall, obedient blondes. And he he basically calls on, I think he calls on like sex workers to come pleasure him. But then he meets Katerina and it just kind of goes from there. She is not here for his shit. She is a take no shit kind of heroine. So if you like a really strong heroine and a strong hero who like kind of are just gonna butt heads a lot. And then last but not least, my favorite, The Player by Kresley Cole, which follows Dimitri and Victoria. Victoria is a con artist and Dimitri is in love with her. And maybe the whole book is his ultimate con. I can't tell you anything about it other than that really, but I love it so freaking much. She tries to con him to take advantage and he's literally like, you can have everything, I don't care. Like you can have it all. I love you, you can have it all, it's fine. And she doesn't believe him, and then there's like one point at which she's leaving and he like bangs on a window and it's just so dramatic. Oh, I can't handle it. It's so dramatic. It's so good. So good. All right, y'all, that is all my recs for some dark romances. Like I said, please let me know if there's a specific subgenre / like trope situation you want of dark romance recs. I'll see what I can do. Honestly, I've been surprised when I've gone back and looked. I was like, oh yeah, I've read all of these. Completely blanks my mind. So yeah, let me know. I'm happy to do that. Also, be sure to drop a black heart emoji in the comments if you made it this far. You can find links to all the books I mentioned in the description box down below. You'll also find links to all of my social medias and the Romance YouTuber Discord, along with a link to the Immortals After Dark read-along if you want to join us. Thanks so much for hanging out with me. Bye, y'all.
Really asking, we'll get away to a place where we don't know.